everybody for coming. I realise the time. I'm probably one of the last things standing between you and a refreshing beverage at Networking Drinks. So I'll do this as quick as I can to get you out to the bar and have a good time. It's been a long day. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks, Becky, for the introduction. So I'm Olga. I lead TA at Just Eat Takeaway. You're going to see the word jet a lot today. I don't work for an airline. It's what we call Just Eat Takeaway internally. So just in case you didn't know, we're one of the world's largest online food delivery companies. We're across 19 countries, nearly 85 million active customers, and 891 million orders last year. So quite big, you would think, right? Today I'm going to talk about candidate experience. I've been to amazing talks today, actually, talking about something similar. But I'm going to share what it's like at Just Eat Takeaway, what the story is there, where it started, how it's going, some data for you as well, some IDB, how we thread through that throughout the journey, and some key takeaways. Not food takeaway, unfortunately, but some takeaways, hopefully, that you can bring back to your workplaces. So we all know what candidate experience is, right? In a nutshell, it's what your applicant feels when they're going through your recruitment process. Or as I say, we shouldn't forget these are human beings who have families to provide for. It's not just, another CV that you're reviewing. It's not just another applicant. They're also our customers. So as I said, we have almost 85 million customers. You think our candidate pool comes out of that, right? So we have to be very mindful that our brand is also at stake here. But we still get it wrong, right? And we still get it wrong. And I'm going to show you some transparent, honest data of how we get it wrong and how we're still working on it. And we all know what happens when it goes wrong, right? It can tarnish your brand, it results in employee attrition, and it affects our customers, right? They're not going to order their Friday night pizza from us if they have a bad, negative candidate experience. And you can see there nearly 70% of job seekers who had a negative experience will rarely or never reapply to your company. The Virgin Media case, this came up earlier as well at the Sky talk that I attended, but this was a big one which shows just how much a bad experience can cost a company. So 2/3 of their rejected candidates said that they had a bad experience and moved mobile providers, costing the company over 5 million in revenue, which is a lot of money, right? So what did Virgin Media do? They surveyed all the candidates they interviewed and they took action with the results. So this leads me on to what we've done, or what we're doing at Just Eat Takeaway, and how we're constantly working to make it better. Side story about our brand and brand loyalty. I mentioned a lot of our candidates are our customers, and we want to have people excited about Just Eat. We want them to have a good experience, not just as an employee or a candidate, but as a customer. And we were on a family holiday recently, and I was walking down the beach promenade with my 8-year-old son, and he says, "Mom, look, you're famous." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "There's Just Eat stickers everywhere, all over the restaurants." And I went, "Oh yeah," he knows I work there. He said, "Yeah, we partner with these restaurants, we help them get food to their customers." He said, "Wow, what you do is amazing. I can't wait to work for your company when I'm older." And I thought, wow, okay. Why is that? Where would you like to work? Is it recruitment or tech or whatever? And he said, "Well, I don't know, Mom. I just want to eat all the burgers." And I thought, okay. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I don't eat burgers all day. But his brand enthusiasm was so infectious, and I just thought to myself, it really resonated with me. I thought, wow, if we could sprinkle this along our candidates, how amazing would that be? Alas, no, our candidates aren't 8 years old and they don't think we eat burgers all day, so our job continues. Here's the story of where it all began. So we all know what happened in 2020 with COVID. Places shut down, restaurants closed. Your Friday night dinner out with your other half was suddenly gone. What do? You order takeaway. So in 2021, we had hyper growth. We hired 6,000 people. We're currently FTE at about 12,000. So that's 50% of our workforce, essentially. So we were running left, right, centre, trying to hire for recruiters, to try to hire for our sales functions, our tech, our engineers. And it was absolutely crazy. At the same time, Just Eat and Takeaway had merged. So we were going through a merger as well, where we had two separate recruitment teams, two separate ATSs. So we're bringing everything together, all while just trying to really, let's be honest, get bums on seats. And that has a knock-on effect then, right, when you're looking at your candidate experience and how well you're looking at the candidate journey, if at all. And to be honest, we didn't do a lot of that. We were worried about where's the next hire coming from. So we missed out on a lot of good candidate experiences. We fell down on feedback and so on and so forth. Over the next few years, we stabilized, as the market did. So about a year after that, we said in late 2022, we thought we really need to start looking at the candidate journey now and looking at quality over quantity if we want to protect our brand as well as everything else. So we came up with a strategy of how we wanted to look at our candidate journey at Just Eat Takeaway. And essentially, we wanted to create a compelling, unique candidate experience throughout the whole journey, from start until finish. And there's these 6 steps that we really honed in on. So as a candidate, you first become aware of the company, right? So here you want to really get across your brand, your value, your culture, what it's really like to work at Just Eat Takeaway. Then as a candidate, you move into consideration. Oh, maybe I look further into this company and see what they do. Maybe I will apply. So then we built a really informative, engaging careers page, which showed real people, real blogs, really what is it like to work here. Again, showcasing our values, interviews, blogs, all of that stuff. And then if you like that as a candidate, you go to apply. We created a 2-click apply process, mobile friendly, very easy, very quick. Gone are the days you fill out 5 pages of an application form, attach your LinkedIn, attach your CV, attach your cover letter. People aren't interested in that anymore. Onto the pre-screening and screening stage was communication is key here. So at every step of the journey, communicate, acknowledge the application, keep up to date on interview scheduling, all of that, but constant communication with the applicant. The interview stage, which we're still putting work into perfecting, I think we always will. So here it's really about creating that fair and equal process. Having adjustable interview if needed for the candidates. And also, though, having diverse interview panels, which will help. Ensuring that you have good value-based, competency-based questions for your interviews. And also what we do is we have candidate packs, which we send them before an interview for our applicants to make them feel at ease for the interview. What can you expect? We don't tell them exactly what they're going to be asked, but we give them tips and tricks, which really helps them to set themselves up for that interview. And then it comes to the final stage, which is either the offer or the rejection. And here it's, again, prompt communication, pre-closing, no surprises at the end, right? Salary is aligned, terms are aligned, hybrid working, all of that's been aligned. Pre-boarding, there's often months between you send the offer until the candidate starts. So how do we keep them engaged? And then for those that don't get the offer, your bronze medalists, your silver medalists, we add them to our talent community. So we're constantly keeping in touch with them, sending them newsletters, event invitations, job suggestions, so that we're building that database and, again, that candidate loyalty for our brand, which is essentially the end goal. we came up with feedback surveys for candidates. So every candidate that we touch or that we interview receives a survey. And we have all different types of surveys that would go out if you get an offer or a rejection, or if you withdraw from the process. We want to know why. We receive between 12 to 15,000 applications per month. And we receive about 1,200 answers to surveys a month from the people who've been offered or rejected. So that's a whole world of information there at our fingertips that we can use to help improve our process. We receive about a 62% response rate of those candidates that are rejected at the final stage, which is quite high. We receive a 70% response rate for those that we offer. Again, it's such invaluable information that we get that we pump back into the system, and we keep continuously improving on that journey. Essentially what we ask them and what we want to know is how likely you would be to recommend others to apply for a job at Jet. We asked them, was the process what you expected? Were the interviewers prepared? Did you receive adequate feedback? Do you consider us as a diverse and inclusive workplace? And what can we do better? That's the key question, I think. What can we do better? That's an open-ended question. We go through those 1,200 answers, believe me, each month. And how we do it is we've set up a candidate ambassador group within our TA team. And they meet monthly to look at the scores, where we sit, where we've gone down, where we're improving. And each quarter, we take some big initiatives and we roll them out within TA to make the process better. Here's an example of a few of them that we've been working on. So we got told a lot that our feedback wasn't always clear. It was quite generic. We were given fluffy answers or feedback. So we created a playbook on how to deliver effective feedback, and we agreed on SLAs. So all of our recruiters now have this playbook, and we're constantly reiterating, updating that. That score has improved by 1%, not a huge amount, I know, but every little helps. But now one of our top 3 answers, the score of them is I now know why my application didn't progress further within Just Eat. And that's in comparison to our global benchmark. So we're getting there, again, baby steps. Another one we were told is, your interviews aren't really prepared. Your interviewers, they're not interested or really attentive. So we're still, we quarterly roll out a global interview training for all our hiring managers. And again, we've seen a 0.5% increase in this score in our recent tally. And now people are saying, well, the interviewer was very engaged. They didn't just read my CV. They knew, they are asking me really good, relevant questions about the role. And the final one, are we an inclusive employer, right? That's a huge topic nowadays, and everybody wants to be known and wants to be an inclusive employer. So we formed an inclusive, diverse and belonging TA committee, again, within our own recruitment team. Our recruitment team is about 70 people at the moment, global. So what we've done within that group is created an inclusive hiring playbook. So things like a huge initiative, and Paul from EE spoke about it just beforehand. I was cursing him because he was stealing my content, is the female hiring strategy, right? So we've done huge amount of work in this area. And the main things we've done is, inclusive hiring panels, advertising salaries, flexi work, part-time work for returning parents, reviewing all of our job descriptions to make sure that they're inclusive and that the language we use is inclusive. And now again, we're receiving really good comments in our surveys to say, it does feel like it's an inclusive place to work. We have this thing where we always say, bring your true self to work, and that's the thing that we're trying to promote with all of our candidates. Here's an example of the data that we look at. I ran this from January up until August this year. So we're averaging at about 7.4 right now. which isn't the best, right? We've been up at 7.9, we've been down to 6.9, and you can see that curve ebbs and flows. So we've still got a lot of work to do, but also you can see, okay, we're 17% above our global benchmark. But there are still areas that we really want to work on, and that we want to get that up to 9, 10, right, in an ideal world. And this is an example of how we look at our monthly analysis, what drives us to work on the initiatives that we work on. So you can see again here, candidate withdrawal, that scored quite low in August because 7 people said that they had no response from anybody after their interview. So, and I know we're getting thousands of applications and we're doing hundreds of interviews, but we still want to know what those 7 people are saying because it matters. So we dig into the comments, we see where it comes from, we try and make those improvements. And then we also do it on the hiring manager side, by the way. So we send the survey to every hiring manager after an interview, so we get their perspective as well. We're focusing on the candidate side today. And again, look, August, you see a lot of down arrows. I picked a wrong month to show an example of. But as I said, we're working on a lot of these initiatives. But this is the kind of thing that we look at monthly. I mentioned our female hiring strategy. If we look at this right-hand side here, our TA committee have been working tirelessly on these figures. Of course, our CHRO gave us a target that we had to meet for our hiring strategy. And we're meeting those targets. And that target is that at every level, every segment, so you can see that we grade from junior to up to senior. You can see at every level there, we're at least at almost 50%, 100% at Board Exco level, 100% at SLC, and so on and so forth. So these are the figures that we're driving. Great that we can report on them now, but can we keep them there? That's the other challenge. And slowly moving on. So just wanted to talk about the candidate journey in general, and we recruit for across all functions, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So I wanted to give an example of how we hire within our customer services area, which is very different to how we deal with our exec recruitment, right? So we've created a particular specific candidate journey for this demographic. They're usually about 18 to 34-year-olds that apply for customer service roles. I did some research. USwitch, who are a comparison website, launched a survey of 2,000 18 to 34-year-olds and found that a quarter of them never answer their phone. They never pick up the phone. They said it gives them a foreboding feeling, a sense of dread, fear, something's wrong, why is somebody calling me, it's bad news. So when you're thinking of a candidate journey for this demographic, you're not going to give them a call because you don't want to start off the relationship on a bad footing. Over 70% of them said they would rather a text or a voice note, but they would never answer their phone if it rang or if it flashed, because let's face it, nobody under 35 has a loud ringtone on their phone these days, right? So what do you do with this demographic, and how do you cater for them to give them a really good candidate experience? And this is an example of what we do, right? So we use AI in gamification. The approach is high-tech, high-touch. So here's an example. So you apply for a customer service agent role on our website. Your application hits our ATS, and our chatbot comes into action. The chatbot will text you, will WhatsApp you some questions, and they're the killer questions, right? Do you have right to work, visa status? Are you available to work shift work? Are you available on weekends? Because that's what we require from our CS agents. So those are languages, again, if we need particular languages. So that removes the TA touch here, and it's all automated. And then if they get through those killer questions, there's a gamification. So this basically assesses cognitive ability, personality, language requirements if they're there. It's a 20-minute test, and again, it's all online, and it's all at their time, right? So again, that demographic, very busy and non-committal to timings, etc. So all of this now has been gone through at their peril, if you wish. An insight report is generated, which we get. If they pass that, then they're invited on site, normally on site at our offices, for an assessment day. So the assessment, it's a 45-minute assessment, and it basically layers onto the gamification, but it looks at competencies such as adaptability, communication, willingness to learn, all of those competencies that we identified what makes a really good CS agent when we were doing all of our research at the beginning. And they'll also, on site, they'll get to have a tour of the offices, what's it like to work there, because again, this is really meaningful for that demographic. And then it goes on, whether they get the offer or not. But that's helped us to really scale this. If you think about, as I mentioned, the thousands and thousands of applications that we get on a monthly basis, and having to sift all through those manually, it's a lot of labor. And what that's brought is effectiveness. We can focus on the best candidates for the job. Efficiency, we can scale it for volume hiring, which is what we do. Equity, it's fair, it's consistent. There's no human subjectivity, biases involved. It's all done online. And experience, it's a better experience for the candidates of that demographic, as well as the TA team and the hiring managers. And on the plus side as well, we've saved a lot of time. So we no longer have to screen thousands and thousands and thousands of CVs and applications, because our chatbot does that for us. So last year, if we take an average, we did this math, we took an average phone screen of about 30 minutes, a scheduling call of about 10 minutes. We saved on average about 584 days, recruiter days, last year by doing this way. And the candidates love the process. So this particular group of candidates, 81% positive, said, it was prepared, it was easy to use, it was very relevant, and they were really able to showcase their skills. So key takeaways for today. These are the things, if you're not already looking at in your company, that I would advise you to do. Career sites, social media, huge to bring in the interest in the first place. Clear, inclusive, and enticing job descriptions. The application process should be easy and accessible. It's a biggie for me. Interviews should be fair and engaging. Train your interviewers, because it's the interviewers who've been interviewing for 20 years and think that they don't need the training are the ones that need it most, right? And ask your candidates for feedback and use that data to pump back into your process to make it better. All of our KPIs have increased because of this. Our time to offer, our offer acceptance rate is now at 85%. Our offer conversion rate as well. So we've seen a knock-on effect on all of this, and overall we're protecting our brand and the customers that order a pizza from us every Friday night. Thank you.